Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I am coming at you on this Monday. And first and foremost, as always, want to send out positive vibrations and blessings to anybody who could be listening. Now, with all that being said, we do know that the Los Angeles Lakers were in action last night on the road against the Phoenix Suns, the reigning Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns, who the Lakers were eliminated by in the playoffs on last year, as we all know. So, of course, the Lakers are shorthanded once again without Anthony Davis, and we knew it would be a tough task for the Lakers to even remotely come close to a victory, considering they only have won, 3 out of the last 12 games. So, and when was the last time that they went on the road? So, at some point, you know, you have to look at effort, you have to look at coaching. We have said this time in and time out throughout the course of the season, and I hate that I didn't do a pregame show on yesterday because I did have some thoughts going into the game, how Frank Vogel would approach the game, and I was wondering, would he play small and start LeBron James at center, knowing that he is going against a tremendous talent in a more traditional center in DeAndre Ayton, who we all know is a phenomenal player and is always going to make his presence felt on the floor regardless of who he's matched up against on the other side. So with all that being said, I knew it would be a tall task for a LeBron James to go out and make an impact on the game, and we saw that Frank's Vogel philosophy going into the game was to play small, to have Phoenix attack them, you know, offensively, being able to spread the floor, but the Lakers were unable to be successful on offense, so it really did not matter that that's the way that they chose to line up. And the thing is, Vogel's philosophy was to have Stanley Johnson in the lineup and have Stanley Johnson more so take on the responsibility of guarding Ayton and not putting that role on LeBron James, and more so have LeBron on Crowder. And the thing is, when that's fine if you want to do that, but Stanley Johnson is not good enough to guard DeAndre Ayton. Now, we saw him play great defense, and he's been a good defender for the most part of the year, which is why he was picked up. And we even saw him play great defense on Rudy Gobert. But at the same time, Rudy Gobert is more of a defensive player. DeAndre Ayton is an offensive player. So you can't expect somebody that is a power forward and who has the size of a Stanley Johnson to be able to go out and guard DeAndre Ayton. And Ayton was definitely making his presence felt early on in the game. But the thing about it is, the Lakers were willing to sacrifice that to maybe let him get his, because they felt that they were going to force some things on the other end. But because they were not executing properly on the offensive end of the floor, it really negated what his philosophy was entering into the game. Because if you're not making them pay by going small and hitting your open shots, which the Lakers were not, and also turning the ball over, being careless with the ball. Even LeBron James had some careless passes. Of course, Russell Westbrook, each of them both finished with 4 turnovers. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to make open looks. And if you're going to go small and spread the floor and force DeAndre to have to come outside of the paint and come out and defend the perimeter, so you can have, pretty much an open lane for LeBron James to drive to and get action to, and for Malik Monk and others to cut to, then, you know, you have to be able to execute. And of course, when they are still being a great defensive team and taking away the lane and you kick out to open shooters, they have to be able to knock down open shots. And time in and time out, when you look at the stat sheet for the Los Angeles Lakers this year, what you're going to see is LeBron James scoring 30 and everybody else doing basically nothing. Because if you cannot get another 20-point scorer, at least somebody who can go out and get you a dub. Russell Westbrook, if you cannot go out and score 20, then what are you here for? of the shots Westbrook took were egregious, especially early on when the Lakers went out and went up 6-2 or 8-2 or whatever it was, and then they came back with the run. The Lakers were not communicating on defense as far as fast breaks were concerned. And when the Lakers go out and get down, it's like these young players give up, and then they let the runs get to be too much. If you look at the first quarter, outscored 48-22. That's just embarrassing. And if Frank Vogel cannot look and see that his philosophy that he wanted to use entering into the game, you called damn 3 timeouts in the first quarter. You called 3 timeouts in the first quarter. But did you make any adjustments? Or were you just over here giving some empty rah-rah? Because they wasn't even trying to hear the rah-rah. In the game, we playing fair. In the game, we don't play it out. I'm sorry I had to, but I'm just saying, why they coming around here with that rah-rah? Because Frank Vogel, what adjustments did you make now in the second half? Okay, so you came out and you decided to give Dwight Howard a go at it. And Dwight Howard, of course, if you look at the second quarter, it was 34-31. The Lakers actually won the second quarter. Then if you look at the third quarter, they only lost the third quarter by 6 points. It was 40-34 when you did indeed decide to go big. Now, had I did the pregame video like I wanted to do on yesterday, then I would have said that y'all know who I'm trying to say. Damn it, why am I want to say DeAndre? Y'all know who the hell I'm talking about. If he would have got a chance to play, then he would have actually did play for 12 minutes of the game. And of those 12 minutes, he was the only player that was a net rating of 0. Everybody else was negative. Russell Westbrook, -27. LeBron James, -15. Everybody was a negative except for him. And of course, the bench players, of course, we're not talking about Wayne Ellington and those others, Bazemore, who played in the garbage time. And for those of you who saying that LeBron James is stat padding, how is he stat padding when he didn't even play in the fourth quarter? He got 30 points through 3 quarters. If he was stat padding, he would have played in the fourth. But we all know the Lakers have another game tonight in downtown Los Angeles at the Crypto.com arena, taking on the Toronto Raptors, which is going to be a tall task within itself. Then they're going to be on the road to see them again within a week. So it's not easy sledding for the Lakers. I think Phoenix wants to come out and make a statement and saying, this is not what you want. A lot of people said, well, they thought you would have won if AD wouldn't have got hurt. They trying to say, no, you wouldn't. This is who we are. But you also have to realize this is not the same Lakers team. And Frank Vogel, and I don't know, damn it, why he's slipping my name, but he could have played more last night with Dwight Howard. You should have played a traditional role and not even had LeBron James starting in at center. Because then, even in the more traditional role, you know that Dwight Howard, while he's not the best defender, he could actually get some rebounds. Because if you look at it, the Lakers were out rebounded, 51-37. 51-37. And then, not to mention, they gave them a lot of extra possessions because they had 14 offensive rebounds. And when they got 14 offensive rebounds, they had 102 shots for the game. The Lakers had 81 shots for the game. So you're talking about 20 extra possessions based off the boards. And not just based off the boards, but based off the steals, because, of course, Phoenix had 12 steals. And I think 4 of those came from Devin Booker, if I'm not mistaken. So that was just a lot of carelessness with the ball on the Lakers' part, and just giving Phoenix the opportunity, and they were going down in transition and taking advantage of it easily. Had 19 points off turnovers, and most of those was in transition. Hell, I think they had 15 fast break points in the first quarter alone. So when you go out in the first quarter, you give up 48 points. And if you look at it for the rest of the game, they gave up 31. Then they go out and give out another 40 in the third, and then 21 at the end. So at some point, you have to play better defense, and that is something that they are not doing. They're not getting up defensively. They're not playing good transition defense, which everybody got to put a body on a body, and we all know Phoenix has players, and even they have players who even come off the bench, who even in limited opportunities can come in and get their points. But this is something, another thing I've been saying all year is you have to have some continuity, and they do not, because Frank Vogel is keep going to change the lineups, not going to stick with any sort of rotation. Players are not going to be familiar with when they're going to have minutes, when they're not. He's finally settled Austin Reeves and Malik Monk into these starting roles. Avery Bradley was in the starting role until he was injured, and now he came back and he is not. So he has to find his way and find his rhythm of when he'll be playing throughout a game. Stanley Johnson been in and out of the starting lineup. You never know if he's going to be starting. But at the end of the day, there's no excuses for going out and looking like a middle school girl team, against, I don't care who you're going against. And the thing about it is, if you listen to any of the post-game pressers, then you will see that it's not looking good, especially when some of the things LeBron James said, because when asked about Anthony Davis coming back and how that was going to help, LeBron didn't say, oh yeah, let us get AD back and we're going to go out here and beat some ass. No, he said, that's a Band-Aid. That's a Band-Aid to a big wound. So if he's even saying that's just a Band-Aid because they got far bigger problems than just missing Anthony Davis, then especially when you saw some of the shots of Russell Westbrook that were just horrific, and LeBron James, it just looked like, oh my God. And then you can only get 12 points out of Malik Monk, 10 points out of Austin Reeves, 12 points out of, and then Melo, old Melo, who coming in as a bench player is your second highest scorer with 18 points. Nobody can even get you 20. And it's just sad that LeBron James is doing all this heavy lifting and playing great basketball. And of course, he's saving his energy on the defensive end, as we all know. We know he is. But at the end of the day, how much do you want this man to do at the age of 37? Because yet again, LeBron James led the Lakers in points last night, led the Lakers in rebounds last night, and led the Lakers in assists last night. How in the hell? So they did say Anthony Davis is expected to start playing, some one-on-one drills in practice. He's out of the boot. I don't know how, they said he's going to do some shooting drills. My apologies. Some shooting drills, not just yet one-on-one. So you'd imagine him doing some shooting drills on the next few days and then doing some one-on-ones. I would expect that you might have Anthony Davis back within the next week and a half. And maybe that could help with some of these issues. And I would hope that, Anthony Davis would start at the center position, which we expect him to, and that Russell Westbrook can finally play somewhat consistently and stop taking jump shots. Just, if you cannot drive and kick and shoot, that's all you need to do. Maybe some mid-range, but damn it, he has become such a huge liability. And let's face it, I'm not afraid to say I was wrong. I thought Westbrook at the beginning of the year, would be a good pickup because he's capable of getting downhill and creating for others. But who would have thought, that he would have stunk it up this bad? But at the end of the day, LeBron signed off on it, Pelinka signed off on it. It is what it is. I don't want it to be a garbage year to throw away because of this play-in tournament. There still is a chance, because you just never know when it's truly over. But I'm telling you right now, bringing back Anthony Davis is not going to be enough time for them to still develop any kind of continuity at the end of the day. And if they do end up going against Phoenix in the first round, Phoenix definitely going to come out and feel like they got something to prove. So unless the Lakers can improve their mentality and their confidence, it's just, going to be tough sledding for them, especially as long as Frank Vogel is the coach. So, I hate to be gloom and doom, but the Lakers got another game tonight. Maybe they can right the ship, get some things going in a winning direction again. But we'll see. It's a tough task again for them tonight. Toronto will be ready. Van Vliet will be ready. Pascal Siakam, they playing good basketball. So at the end of the day, the Lakers know what they need to do in order to keep the ship afloat until Anthony Davis comes back. You would hope that Kendrick Nunn would eventually play, but it's just starting to look like he will not play at all this season, which is terrible because he's the only Laker that was signed who they gave some money to. because all the money they gave to Russell Westbrook, everybody else was on the league minimum except for him. He got a good mid-level exception, and he was expected to play a great part into the Lakers season. However, he did not. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I'm just going to keep on yelling, man, right on to the real. And much love to these haters. I'm out.